For many viewers, David Bromstad has always represented color, warmth, and possibility. On HGTV, he appears as the cheerful guide who helps others step into dream homes and brighter futures. His energy feels effortless, his laughter easy, his optimism steady. But behind that vibrant on-screen presence is a life shaped not only by success, but by resilience. Like many creative personalities, David's journey has been layered, built from hardship, reinvention, and self-reflection. To understand the man audiences admire, it helps to look beyond the television persona and explore the experiences that shaped him long before the cameras arrived. David grew up in Minnesota in a traditional household where creativity wasn't always the easiest path to walk. From a young age, he knew he saw the world differently. He was artistic, expressive, and deeply sensitive, qualities that would later define his career. But in childhood, those same qualities sometimes made him stand out in ways that felt isolating rather than empowering. School was not always a place of belonging. Like many creative children who don't quite fit social expectations, David faced challenges that quietly shaped his sense of identity. In interviews over the years, David has spoken candidly about experiencing bullying during his school days. The teasing and exclusion left a lasting emotional mark. For a young person still learning who they are, repeated ridicule can create deep internal doubts. Instead of responding with anger, he coped by retreating inward. He learned to endure. He focused on getting through each day rather than trying to change it. That survival instinct, pushing forward despite discomfort, would later become both his strength and something he would need to unlearn. Art became his refuge. Drawing, designing, and imagining alternate worlds gave him control in a life that sometimes felt unpredictable. Creativity allowed him to express emotions he didn't yet have words for. It wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifeline. The colors he would later become famous for were not random stylistic choices. They were emotional language. Where his real world felt gray at times, he painted brighter possibilities. In many ways, his artistic voice developed as a response to adversity. Determined to turn that passion into a profession, David pursued formal education at the Ringling College of Art and Design in Florida. The competitive environment demanded discipline and focus. For someone who once felt overlooked, earning a place at a respected art institution was validation. It proved that his creativity had value beyond self-expression. It could become a career. Those years refined his technical skill, while strengthening his determination to build a life defined by imagination rather than limitation. After graduation, he achieved a milestone many artists dream of, a position with Disney as an illustrator. For someone who grew up escaping into fantasy, working for a company built on storytelling felt almost poetic. The opportunity symbolized arrival. He had transformed childhood passion into professional reality. Yet, like many creative industries, the work environment was competitive and unpredictable. When economic downturns led to layoffs, David's position was eliminated. The sudden change forced him into uncertainty once again. Losing that job was more than a professional setback. It challenged his sense of stability. For someone who had worked tirelessly to prove his worth, being let go reopened old insecurities. But rather than stepping away from creativity, David redirected it. He shifted into interior design, beginning with small projects and gradually refining a bold, colorful aesthetic that blended fantasy with livable space. It was a pivot that required courage, especially without guaranteed success. Years of steady effort eventually led him to audition for HGTV's competition series Design Star. Entering the show meant placing his talent and personality under public scrutiny. Yet something clicked. Viewers responded not only to his design skills, but to his authenticity. He wasn't simply decorating rooms, he was telling emotional stories through color and space. Winning the competition launched him into national visibility and marked the beginning of a long partnership with HGTV. With Color Splash and later My Lottery Dream Home, David became known as a host who genuinely celebrated other people's milestones. His enthusiasm felt contagious rather than performative. He embraced bold palettes that others might avoid, encouraging homeowners to take creative risks. Over time, he evolved into one of the network's most recognizable faces. Success, however, often comes with pressure, the expectation to remain upbeat, polished, and consistently engaging. public life can blur personal boundaries. As his profile grew, so did scrutiny. Like many television personalities, David learned that visibility invites commentary, sometimes supportive, sometimes critical. Maintaining privacy while living in the public eye requires careful balance. For someone who had once coped by hiding difficult emotions, the expectation to remain cheerful could become complicated. Professional momentum does not automatically erase personal challenges. At one point, David faced legal conflict connected to a former personal relationship. Allegations surfaced publicly, drawing media attention. Legal disputes can be emotionally draining regardless of outcome, especially when private matters become headlines. Ultimately, the court dismissed the claims. While the legal process concluded, the experience underscored how quickly narratives can form around public figures. It also demonstrated the importance of allowing due process, rather than reacting impulsively. Beyond professional hurdles, David has also spoken about deeply personal concerns, including serious health scares involving loved ones. Supporting family members and close friends during medical crises shifts priorities instantly. In those moments, television ratings and renovation deadlines fade into the background. Caregiving and emotional presence become central. These experiences often reshape perspective, reminding individuals that real life unfolds far from studio lights. As responsibilities accumulated, so did internal pressure. Years of moving forward without fully addressing earlier wounds began to surface. Stress can reveal unresolved patterns, particularly for people accustomed to presenting strength outwardly. David has been open about recognizing moments when he needed help rather than endurance. That self-awareness marked an important transition, from surviving silently to speaking honestly. One particularly symbolic chapter involved the renovation of his own Florida home. After years of helping others design dream spaces, he began creating a personal sanctuary. Unexpected structural setbacks forced major reconstruction, turning what was meant to be celebratory into something exhausting. The project mirrored his internal state: progress interrupted, foundations exposed, rebuilding required. The experience prompted deeper reflection about balance and well-being. Rather than ignoring the strain, David chose to prioritize mental health. Seeking professional support is not a dramatic headline, but it is a powerful decision. In creative industries where image often overshadows vulnerability, choosing treatment represents strength. He acknowledged the need to examine long-standing coping mechanisms and replace them with healthier patterns. That transparency resonated with many viewers who see parts of themselves in his story. Sobriety and boundary setting became central themes in his next chapter. For someone naturally generous with time and energy, learning to say no required adjustment. Protecting mental clarity meant stepping back when necessary. Instead of equating busyness with value, he began focusing on presence and authenticity. It was a quieter form of growth, less visible than a television premiere, but far more transformative. Marking his 50th birthday, David traveled abroad and immersed himself in nature. The trip symbolized renewal rather than reinvention. Milestones often encourage reflection. What remains essential? What can be released? For David, the answers appeared rooted in gratitude and self-acceptance. Adventure replaced avoidance. Reflection replaced reaction. The shift suggested maturity not only in age, but in outlook. When discussing this period publicly, David framed it not as a collapse, but as a recalibration. He emphasized that healing is ongoing. There was no claim of perfection, only commitment to awareness. In an industry that often rewards flawless presentation, acknowledging imperfection can feel radical. Yet viewers increasingly connect with honesty over polish. Today, David Bromstad continues to design, host, and inspire. The colors remain bold. The laughter remains genuine. But beneath the surface is a deeper steadiness shaped by experience. His journey illustrates that success and struggle are not opposites, they often coexist. The most meaningful transformations happen off-camera, in private decisions no audience sees. Ultimately, David's story is not about fame or even design. It is about resilience, the willingness to confront old pain, adapt to unexpected change, and rebuild when necessary. Dream homes may capture attention, but personal growth sustains it. By choosing transparency over silence and reflection over performance, he offers something more lasting than Dacre advice. He demonstrates that rebuilding a life, like renovating a home, begins with acknowledging what needs strengthening and believing that brighter spaces are still possible.